correct, my children. It has been a long 4 years, but it is now time to finish the Fire and Stone saga with its last chapter, Predator. When last we left off, Eldon, the android-turned-black goo mutant, had attacked the mutineer ship with his horde of xenomorphs, while at the same time, a group of predators attacked the ship to deal with the wayward creatures, with one even ending up mutated himself. In the end, Eldon survived his fight with the various parties, with a small group of xenomorphs still under his sway, and a small sample of his old pal Francis in a box. I can relate, my children. I keep the bloody remains of people I know in a box too. Galgo, the lead mutineer, had escaped during this in the patrol ship Perseus, where we pick things up. Galgo has detected a stowaway on their ship. A predator. Before they can head home, they need to deal with it, though they don't want to risk using guns in the ship lest they blow a hole in it. Piper, one of his crew, engages the predator and actually manages to survive longer than one would expect, getting a few hits off with a cattle prod, and then getting his body blasted apart when he thinks he can bring his fists to a laser fight. Just to show what sort of a stand-up guy he is, Galgo decides to use his mentor, Higgins, as bait for the predator, flashing both out an airlock and failing as the predator easily survives and disarms Galgo of the engineer gun he had confiscated back when this whole thing started, revealing its real target, the engineers. The Predator is keeping Galgo alive because the Perseus is more advanced than normal human ships, and it doesn't know how to fly it. It takes some convincing, but eventually the Predator gets him to turn around and head back to LV-223. He even drags Galgo along by some kind of energy tether, probably to ensure he doesn't leave with the ship before he gets the skull of an engineer. While Galgo expects the place to be swarming with monsters, they instead discover piles and piles of dead xenomorphs. The two are able to kill some large beasts, and are found dead by Captain Angela Foster, whom he had left behind on the moon back in the Prometheus chapter. She and two others have survived this whole time, and while neither is happy to see one another, they recognize that they'll need everyone to survive. She explains that the engineers have been cleaning up the planet, killing the xenomorphs and other black goo monsters and studying them. Galgo and the Predator bond a bit over a campfire that night, sharing stories of their scars. With Galgo not really being able to understand the Predator language, but a hologram of one creature gives him the idea. Aw, look at it! It's so cute! They come up with a plan to use one of the black goo monsters, at least one of the tamer ones, as bait to lure out the engineers, with their first attempt failing, though Galgo's effort to save the Predator gets it to trust him, handing him back the engineer gun. And he'll need it, for they soon encounter an engineer and the fight begins. The Predator lets Galgo loose as he says he can only help him that way, but he then turns tail and runs like a coward. However, he soon has a change of heart and goes back. The Predator uses every trick it has in its arsenal to try to fight the engineer. Her superior strength allows it to break its limbs and toss it around. Darts, javelins, cloaking. It's all the Predator can do to try to take down such a fearsome adversary. Unfortunately, their fight takes them back to the Perseus when the Predator elects to use its self-destruct to finally take down the engineer, too wounded to finish the job otherwise. While Galgo saves him and helps him escape the explosion, their escape ship is destroyed. Still, the Predator combed through the wreckage and got the trophy he wanted, even as Galgo admits to Angela what a complete ass he has been. A month later, Galgo is still with Angela's group as they continue their fight for survival, but the Predator has gone off. After all, he could hunt the humans, but after taking down an engineer, he's hunting bigger and better prey. But I lied, my children. The Fire and Stone saga still has one more chapter to conclude things, and maybe even spell rescue for the doomed crew. But that's for next year.